I'm Wanda Irwin. I was a Carnes, and I was born right here in Cane Hill. And the house I was born in is still here. And that was in February the 24th, 1930. My daddy was Sturman Carnes, and like I say, he was a rural mail carrier here out of Cane Hill. Worked out of the post office here at Cane Hill. And he carried mail over toward Clyde and over the mountain, which was called Hale Mountain at the time. And my mother was a stay-at-home mother of 6 children. First thing you need to know that I was born in 1930, and that was before the war, as well as I was a teenager. It was during the war. And times were different then. Cane Hill, the boys from Cane Hill went to service. So it took a lot of people out of our school to go to the war. And of course, it was a year of rationing. We didn't have any sugar. It was rationed. Coffee was rationed. Gasoline was rationed. And my brothers went to service also. And this is when I was good to be a teenager. And things changed so much. The main thing we as teenagers liked to go to this basketball game, and that was the only sport we had here. Pretty much was basketball, and we had to travel to go to play other places. The farthest one was West Fork, and we couldn't take the school bus to take us, so we rode in the back of trucks usually to go to the ball games. And I have to mention the church. I think that had a lot of bearing on all of our lives. Mr. Skinner was our preacher here, and every week he came to school, I think it was on Friday morning, and gave what we call chapel. The whole school went to chapel, and that had a lot of meaning to us as young people. And I started to school in 1935, I guess it was. And Minna Richardson was my teacher for 3 years, and she was a wonderful person and well known here in Cane Hill. And then I had Mrs. Finley was our superintendent, but her daughter also taught school in the 5th and 6th grade, I believe it was. We who grew up in Cane Hill had a lot going for us because we were not taught just reading and writing. We were taught a lot of other things, how to get along in life and take part in government. And during the war, like I say, the boys were going to war, and somehow it affected the whole city of Cane Hill because things changed. They were not normal environment during the war, and we didn't have boys, and a lot of times if they were married, their wives left too to go where they could be close to their husbands. And so we had to make a lot of sacrifices during the war. That's where I went all 12 years of my school, but then I went to the university for 2 years, and back then there was such a shortage of teachers in Arkansas that they asked me if I'd come teach at Cane Hill, and I did for a year and a half, I think it was. And of course my students weren't much younger than I was. Well, it wasn't bad. I did some fill-in teaching at Lincoln and Perry Grove, and I think compared to the school kids in that time, Cane Hill was outstanding. The students were. Most of them did go to college, and if you track them down, they're all doing well. And I give Martha Elizabeth Moore and Mr. Moore and mainly credit for mainly going to movies. I went to the Presbyterian Church. Of course, that was the only church here at the time, and the young people would meet there around 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon and have our little program, and then we all went to the movies, mainly in Prairie Grove. And that was a big part of our life, is going to the movie. And some of us went on Saturday afternoon too. And they always had Western movies on Saturday and Saturday night, and then they changed for Sunday night. So some of us made both of those movies. We did get to the movies at Prairie Grove. Of course, we couldn't go far because we didn't have gasoline to drive very far. And that was the main activity. Other than we made our own activity, a lot of time I remember my older brothers meeting downtown in Cane Hill and playing games like kick the can and I forgot what else, but they made their own entertainment mainly. There was a home demonstration club that my mother went to, and they were very active in our community, promoting things, helping each other when they needed help. And then, of course, Daddy had a farm that he'd come in off the route. He'd get off the route about 2:30, and he'd go eat lunch and then go straight to the farm and take us with him if there was something that we could do, like picking strawberries and picking up potatoes. And he made, and the boys had to go with him to, our farm was about a mile north of Cane Hill, and my brothers would go early in the morning and milk, and then they had to go back in the evening to milk again. And we girls stayed pretty busy at just helping our mother. I saw the mill long before it was torn down, but I was too young to know when the mill was running or anything. And then by the time I got up teenagers, they tore it down. But I do remember my older brothers and the other boys in town riding on the old mill wheel. You could get on it and walk up it and then turn the wheel. And that, I barely remember that. That must have been torn down, I don't know what year, but maybe I remember as a small child them talking about it, and at one time it was a shopping center, of course, and it had a place that made ladies' hats, and they had a mattress factory, and I don't know what you call where they put shoes on the horses. What do you call that? I don't know. At Cane Hill, right in the center of the road, they had a place to water horses, and that was there all the time I was a child. And then they moved it up on the Cane Hill campus, and I don't know exactly what their plans are now for it, but it was a kind of a center point, and everybody remembered Cane Hill by the place in the middle of the road, the spring, I want to call it. And it was fed by spring water. And everybody knows that Cane Hill has lots of spring, lots of good water. And there was a spring up from my house that before we got city water, it pretty well was water to about every house in Cane Hill, because it was a big spring and no city water at Cane Hill at that time. We lived about a block. We were just about a block from downtown Cane Hill. And we got our mail about 9:30 in the morning, and my mother, I remember sending me down to get the mail when I was a little girl, and I didn't think much about it. But then what I mainly remember is after they moved the post office over across the street, and there was always men sitting on the bench out in front, mainly whittling on a stick or something. There was a lot of men that didn't have jobs, older fellas, and more people have asked me, well, how did they make a living? And I can't answer that, because I could name several guys that I didn't even know what they did for a living. But they somehow, I guess, just farming. But my husband, James Irwin, a lot of y'all know James, because he was the teacher at Lincoln, and then he took a job with Tyson's in Springdale. In 1960, we moved to Springdale. Well, I was married in 1949, and my husband was the agri teacher at Prairie Grove at that time. And then that's when we got married, and I first lived in Prairie Grove when we were married, and then we moved to the farm, and James had inherited the Irwin farm, which is homesteaded as the Irwin farm. So we still own that. I didn't sell it after James died, and my youngest son runs it now. My other son lives in Little Rock, and he helps, but Clark Irwin is the one that's running it now. He's doing a good job. He's got a good herd of cattle. Everybody was very close-knit in Cane Hill. We knew everybody, and we knew who needed help, and we all pitched in and helped out.